Hey there, my name is Sadil Mehta, and I'm interviewing Mr. Dilip Sathe for my final project for my Introduction to Asian American History class. So, hi, nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
Good. Um, just a quick FYI, this is a project we do in our Asian American history classes, where we have to interview an Asian American that we've known, family member, family friend, etc., in our community. And so all these interviews will be contributed to an oral history archive, if you're okay with that, comfortably
Yes,
recorded.
yes, perfectly all right.
All right. So yeah, ready to get started?
Yes,
All right. So just go ahead. You said your name, of course, but restate your name and also small introduction, how old you are, where you're from, and just kind of like a background real quick.
sure. My name is Dilip Sathe. I'm 72-year-old. I'm originally from Bombay, India, or now it's called Mumbai, India. And I came to US in 1977.
All right. So, of course, being an Asian American, can you just tell me about your, just first of all, like where you grew up in Mumbai, of course, and what was your decision to come to the United States in the first place?
I graduated with undergrad degree in production engineering from India. And of course, during classes and friends and professors, you always talk about what do you do next in terms of master's degree, and you always want to kind of go abroad somewhere, whether it's in US or England or Australia for a master's degree rather than just getting it from India.
Of
So
course,
that's
yeah.
how my interest grew.
Yeah. So you came in August of '77, you said. Where did you end up going in the first place then?
First, I came to university in Manhattan, Kansas. It's called Kansas State University. That's where I had applied. Of course, when you apply for master's degree in engineering, that time there were no laptops,
Yeah.
no other way of communication other
Yeah.
than you gather information from U.S. consulate or apply
Well,
to the university directly, and everything comes via mail in a paper.
yeah.
And that's how I applied, because the tuition there was decent. So I came over there.
Okay. Because most people, I think most immigrants at that time, I would assume, go to big cities, but
Correct.
you ended up in Manhattan, Kansas,
Right.
which is not
Right.
Manhattan, New York
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
So
Right.
how is that experience, flying and landing straight in the middle of Kansas, where there's like no real
Yeah, very.
like people say like we aren't in Kansas anymore, and that's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
thing like, yeah, this is not like, just talk about that experience
Yeah,
a little bit.
very different. Of course, when you are in India, you don't really know how each city looks like and etc. like that. And being from a lower middle class family, couldn't afford a big city or top 10 colleges in terms of fees and all that stuff. So you again apply for the second tier, third tier colleges, and the tuition was really the main criteria, because we had to get loans from the bank or something like that. So Kansas State University just came out to be, the
Sure.
choice at that time.
Yeah.
Of course, that was my first flight ever taken
Yeah.
from India. So came over here, Kansas State University. Of course, it's all flat area,
Yeah.
cornfield and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
So very different compared to
I
Mumbai.
bet. Yeah. What was like the cultural adjustment? Not only like, of course, like professionally, academically, but also like socially. Like, did you find a big Indian American group, or did you, were there other master students that came along with you, or was it mostly, talking with, of course, white Americans and other
Yeah.
groups?
Well, being a state university, of course, had multicultural students, and there was also an Indian community, an Indian student body who helped any new students that come in from India. So adjustment was very easy compared to what I thought it would be.
Okay.
Because the India Association's members, they come over to airport to pick you up. They tell you where you can stay and all that stuff. and being a campus, you have a lot of students, a lot of Indians, a
Yeah.
lot of other culture. So adjustment wasn't really too bad. The only thing was, in the evenings when, when you're back at your apartment and all that stuff, it's quiet
Yeah.
compared to
You're not used to
the
that
hustle
yet.
bustle of
Yeah.
a big city in India.
Now, did you miss it, you would say, that kind of like hustle bustle, that Indian lifestyle when you came over? Or did you learn to almost embrace like kind of this quieter Midwestern?
In the beginning, it was a little difficult
Mm-hmm.
because, any time, this is in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So you're not used to
You
it.
know, yeah.
Your group is still small.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't see the gossips, with the neighbors and all that
Yeah.
stuff like that. But luckily, we were staying in a big house that an old American lady
Mm-hmm.
kind of rented out bedrooms for students,
Mm-hmm.
and very nice lady. And we had, students living there, so we kind of bonded together.
Sure,
That,
yeah.
that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But you still miss it.
Yeah,
In
for
the
sure.
beginning it was a little bit tough.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So, how long did you stay at Kansas State before?
I stayed in Kansas State University for one semester because after I come, when I came over here, of course, I did not have any tuition-free college,
Yeah.
to pay for tuition, and also I got only like $100 a month stipend. That was just enough to barely go and buy some groceries. And
Yeah.
that's about it.
Okay.
So pretty soon realized, and of course, we had to get a loan from India to come over there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came, I had one suitcase, $200 cash, and a check for the first semester of college. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was tough. So as soon as I came here, of course, I had a long distance cousin who lived in Illinois at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and he was doing his second master's at University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign.
Mm-hmm.
So during Christmas holiday, he said, "Why don't you come over here and then let's see if you can apply here. You might get a little bit better."
Mm-hmm.
And so only I stayed in Kansas State for one semester.
Okay, and then you did the rest of your masters at UIUC.
Yeah. When I came for Christmas holidays, I applied to University of Illinois, talked to the professors.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to get tuition free, and also was able to work 20 hours a week off campus a little bit to earn a little bit more money, which was very helpful.
I gotcha. So, would you say there was still, of course, like a little bit of a struggle at UIUC, or was it helpful that you had a cousin now, or was it a bigger Indian community? What was the changes you noticed between staying at Kansas State and maybe at UIUC, which is...
I think between Kansas State and University of Illinois, University of Illinois had a lot bigger Indian community. For example, I stayed in the dorms where I met a lot of not only just Indian but other foreign students also. They had Indian cultural program at the university. Enjoyed watching sports
Yeah.
over there with the group and all that. So that was really helpful.
I gotcha. So, after you graduated, what was the next part? Where did you move, etc.?
Well, once I graduated, of course we had loans to pay off.
Yeah.
Then said, well, I'd like to kind of work, and at that time, I think there was what you call a work permit or a work visa that you could get. Of course, I came here as a student visa. Then I could work for a couple of years, So I thought, well, let me just find a job, make some money so I can pay off the loan. So the first job I got was really in Tennessee, in a small town called Lebanon, Tennessee, about 30 miles east of Nashville, where one of the TRW automotive plant was there, and they were interviewing candidates. So I was able to get in there since had finished my master's degree in industrial engineering. They needed an industrial engineer to help out. So I got my job over there. That was my first job. But then realized that, after a few months, I said, well, I may want to work longer here. But to work longer means I need to, I was kind of debating between going back to India or staying lot longer in US.
Mm-hmm.
Decided I'll stay a lot longer.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of apply for a green card.
Yeah.
But TRW did not know how to do that, or they were kind of reluctant. Being a big automotive company, they said, "Well, we may not be able to help you with that."
Mm-hmm.
So, but they were very helpful in the sense that if you want to find another job who can apply and for you, then it's okay. And through some headhunters, I then applied for a job in Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I landed up in Ohio.
Higher. So, in the news, at least like today, there's a huge, issues with, international students and student visas. There's been a lot of, things in the
Mhm.
news. So how was that experience for you? And back in, of course, the 70s and the 80s, like, being on a student visa and transferring over to, getting a green card and becoming, a permanent resident. How was that process for you? Did you notice it to be difficult, or was it pretty seamless, or?
Wasn't difficult. During that time, most companies really did not know what the process is of applying
Uh-huh.
for a green card or sponsoring
Mm-hmm.
for a green card. They had no idea. So most people, what they did was they went through an immigration lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and then immigration lawyer could do that. So when I actually applied for a job here in Ohio
Mm-hmm.
at Copeland Corporation in a small town called Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
they did not know uh, what a green card process is. And in
Mhm.
fact, they had, one Indian working there, or two Indians working there, but they were already, there for a long time, and they had citizenship and all that stuff. So applying for green card process was, they did not know that. So I
Yeah.
told them, I said, don't worry, I told them to HR that we know law firms who can help with that one. And they said, no problem, we'll help you with that as long as you tell us what the process is.
Mm-hmm.
So through the immigration lawyer in Dayton, Ohio, and Copeland Corporation together did that. And I was actually the first Indian or first foreigner that they actually
Wow.
went through a green card process. And once they realized that it's an easy process to get technical talent like us, then Copeland started actually hiring more foreign students, whether it's
Mhm.
Indian or other nationals like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they applied for green card. In fact, all the future people who came into Copeland in the
Yeah.
very beginning, the HR would ask me for my counsel in terms of, hey, tell us the
Yeah.
process and all that. So
Sure.
they
Yeah.
were really happy.
Mm-hmm.
So during that time, companies really didn't know what the process is.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, how was it like, did you, often go back to India during these times, or like?
No, not really.
No.
When you are a student and you have a limited budget and etc. like that, and going back, after graduation, going back to India and then coming back, what visa would I come in from?
Yeah.
Because my student visa is already gone. So I really didn't go for several years actually
Wow. Yeah.
to India, because then the process would have been very difficult, because
Yeah.
once Copeland started applying for the green card, we're not sure whether I should just go back and come back, and then
Yeah,
the
for
process
sure.
will be hindered.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, that makes very
Yeah.
good sense. Yeah. So, how did people like react to the fact that you were, or was mostly everyone welcoming to the fact that you were a student who was becoming a full-time resident here? Was everyone welcome to that fact, or like, did you, I guess like, I'm asking like, did you feel more of an Indian or like an Indian American now? Or, kind of like, it was more of an abstract type of question.
Yeah, I mean, I came into a very small town,
Yeah.
right? Sydney,
So,
Ohio,
Uh-huh.
middle of nowhere,
Uh-huh.
15,000 population.
Mhm.
In the town, there were only like 3 Indians living in there. So Indian community wasn't there. Didn't see any Chinese or Japanese or any, other communities, but predominantly, the typical American town
Mhm.
like that. but people were really, really very nice,
Mhm.
very friendly. Uh, you know, on the technical side or business side, having an engineering degree with a master's degree, speaking good English,
Mhm.
and then making very quick friends, but at the same time really giving 200% to the work.
Mhm.
That was helpful. So the people were really nice, both at work
Yeah.
as well as the
Just outside
neighborhood
in the
that
community.
where we work. I've made a lot of friends
Mhm.
during that time.
Mhm.
So adjustment wasn't too bad at all,
Mhm.
other than just missing your typical Indian community.
Sure, yeah, but sooner than later, you of course formed a
Yeah,
small Indian
yeah.
community, and you know, so how was it? Because of course, a lot of the reason like you stayed in the U.S. was because you worked
Mhm.
long time at Emerson, and now which is now Copeland,
Mhm.
of course. How did that shape type of your like identity and belonging while in Ohio, your work at Copeland?
A little bit different. Let me kind of give you a little bit more
Sure, yeah.
background. When I joined this company in
Mhm.
Ohio, at the same time, I met Sushma, my
Yeah.
wife. We met in New York,
Mhm.
and uh, I started Copeland. Then within a week, we got married in New York,
Mhm.
and came over. Both of us came over to town. So, new job, newly married, staying in a hotel.
Yeah.
So it was a big adjustment,
Wow. Yeah.
for both of us.
Mhm.
She grew up in New Delhi in India. Then
Mhm.
she was in New York City, in a big city, and coming
Yeah.
back to a small town like that. Where are all the
Mhm.
people in the evening?
Mhm.
To get together like that. But we said, look, let's give it a try. Let's make
Mhm.
sure we blend in with people and
Mhm.
talk to them. We have to be comfortable in the town. People around us have to be comfortable with us.
Mhm.
Uh, and it took us almost a year or so to get accustomed to a small town, to American,
Mhm.
a real town like that.
Yeah.
But we started liking it. Both being from big city, coming to a small town was
Yeah.
a big adjustment.
Of course. Yeah.
Uh, but in reality, it's really the friendship that you make
Yeah.
that makes a difference.
Mhm.
And making friends around was helpful.
Mhm.
The 2 or 3 Indians that we had, we kind of used to get together.
Yeah. Still
Then
like
we
yeah.
slowly found some other Indians close by. So we kind of formed a group.
Mhm.
So we said, well, we miss our Indian cultural activity. At the
Mhm.
same time, we enjoy the American culture, but Indian culture we were missing. So we used to kind of get together
Still
during
yeah.
some cultural
So
events
yeah, like
ourselves.
coming into these like like small towns and stuff like that. You proactively have to try to get
You
out.
have to.
You
You
have to.
cannot you
Yeah.
cannot just
Stay in a shell and
stay in a shell
yeah,
by
you have to.
yourself. You have to
Yeah.
be outgoing. You have to
Mhm.
be friendly with neighbors,
Mhm.
helpful with neighbors, and that was really
Mhm.
that really made it happen.
Okay.
But then after about a year or so, we kind of started liking a small town.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
whenever we used to go to big city, then we would say, "Oh my gosh,
Too much.
too much
So you
traffic
kind
in
of
big
like
city."
transform, like you grew up in like Bombay, Mumbai, and
Right,
now
right,
this like kind of like this new small
correct,
town lifestyle kind of just put
right,
yeah
right.
yeah
And people around were really so nice, very
yeah
helpful. I mean, we would go to bank, and if we didn't go to bank for a week, then the teller will ask, "Hey, we missed you. Where were you for a while?"
yeah
Or go to a small
Mhm.
grocery store. We had like a grocery store, and we didn't even have Walmart or anything like that at that time.
Mhm.
But we'll go there. People will greet you, will ask you about it.
yeah
Neighbors will ask you about it.
hmm
It made a difference.
yeah. I feel like we don't hear those things so much, in media or anywhere like that. We always hear the bad stuff that's happening to immigrants and stuff like that, and there is so much bad stuff that does happen. But there is many people out there still, it's especially in these small towns where you
Right,
would least
right,
expect it,
right, right.
that have these open minds that are just willing
Correct.
to accept,
Yeah.
everyone who moves
Right.
there.
I mean, when we were when Sushma and I were in an apartment
Mhm.
during that time, I used to travel quite a bit for my work.
Mhm.
I was out of town, And then she called me and said, there is a tornado coming. I said, what should I do? So I'll stay away from the window and just stay closer to the door. Uh, and a few minutes later, she called and said the tornado went through our apartment complex.
Oh,
All
wow.
our windows were broken and all that stuff, and
Wow.
picnic tables were flying around. And so I had to fly back from where I was working back to home.
Mm-hmm.
But what was good about it is all the neighbors and friends were so helpful.
Yeah.
Uh, they asked about you, how are you, are you okay, are you, you need any help, and etc. like that. So it wasn't, it was scary moment, but at the same time all the neighbors got together, they
And
were
they
helping
were.
each other, and that's what makes it a difference is the people
Mm-hmm.
around you.
Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, like, and I think like that's what truly being an American,
Correct,
really is.
correct,
Like being open to, anyone who comes through,
yeah,
whether it be an
correct,
immigrant, whether it be different skin color,
correct,
different age, different anything. It's just really those things, that, and I think you can only, not necessarily you only, but you see those things a lot more in these small towns
correct,
because everyone just forms that
right,
community.
right.
But, still, of course, during this time, did you ever still feel like visibly, as in like you were Indian in a predominantly small, predominantly white community?
Didn't quite feel like that being an Indian or something like that, but couple events further in the year makes you aware that you're not typical white American like
Yeah.
that. Like in '79, for example, there was a siege in Tehran, the embassy siege,
Yeah.
and people were taken hostages and all that stuff, and that created a question mark by a lot of typical American saying, well, he's not typical white American,
Yeah.
who looks like from
Mm-hmm.
other, is he from Iran or
Yeah.
is he from there? When some events like that happen,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be a little bit careful about that. You have to let people know where are you from, what your background is, and all that stuff. Don't try to be so protective and away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Mix it up and be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And that made feel like at that time you have to make sure that you don't grow too much beer and all that stuff to
Yeah.
look like an Iranian at that
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
Or when 9/11 happened,
Yeah.
that was also an event which kind of makes you feel, hey, wait a minute, you're not really the white American.
That way, yeah.
You are from Asia, but you're still American. At that time
Yeah.
we were citizens later on, and we are here. We belong here.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of this is our country. We are part of this culture.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we may look different.
Sure.
Our color will be different, but you have to help each other out, and
Yeah.
that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. So, you eventually did settle in Sydney, Ohio,
Mhm.
and how is it like, with I call her Sushma auntie, but your wife Sushma, and raising your sons in Sydney, Ohio. How was that experience?
Great experience, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
We got married in 1980, and when our first son was born in '82,
Mhm.
Still then we were still debating. Maybe maybe after a few years we'll go back to India or
Yeah.
something like that. But then later on we said no. I think once our kids are born, and your life changes.
Yeah.
We have
Mhm.
two sons, 82 and 83. 84 they were born, and raising kids in a small town is really great experience.
Really? Yeah.
Really great experience.
Mhm.
All your neighbors and etc. are very helpful.
Mhm.
The kids enjoyed the neighborhood and all that as they were growing up.
Mhm.
And that's when we decided that we have a green card holder, but I think we're going to stay here.
Mhm.
So let's apply for citizenship, because raising kids here and with the family and surrounding around, this is something we want to continue.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I agree with the fact that, raising kids, like, of course, I was raised in a small town as well, and not too far from Sydney, Ohio.
Right.
So I definitely understand, like, what you mean by that experience, that it
Right.
is wonderful to,
Right.
raise your kids in, like, this small town, because, and I think, like, it would have been so much different, for example, if your kids or my kid, or if I was raised, in, like, New York City or
Right.
downtown, where there's
Right.
or like Fremont, California, where there is Indians, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, like, how did you make sure your kids, still, were in touch with their Indian culture and still knew about, where they came from and, stuff like that? Or did you put a big focus into that, or let them do kind of like their own thing?
Well, we did both. Of course, once we started forming a group of Indians and we celebrated our cultural events like Diwali or other events like that,
Mm-hmm.
then Dayton had a Indian community, and then 4 or 5 small towns together they formed an Indian community. So we started having some Indian cultural programs
Mm-hmm.
where our kids learn about it. Of course, we also went to India almost every year or every other year. Took kids when they were 6 months older and
Yeah.
onwards to meet our parents and their cousins and all that stuff. So they kind of started knowing what is India, where are our roots from, even though they are born here.
Mm-hmm.
So they started learning both cultures at the same time.
Yeah.
So we made sure about that. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
they understand the language a little bit, but they cannot speak fluently
Sure.
because
Yeah.
So they really grew up understanding both cultures.
So you made sure, like,
Made
they
made
knew,
sure that they realized
they
that.
formed those connections back
Correct.
to, where they came from.
Correct.
That's really sweet. Now, when you did, of course, start going back to India, what did people think of the fact that, you were an Indian American now, you were fully settled there? Were they, like, kind of in awe? Did they want to follow in your footsteps? Or, like, huh?
Uh, they were happy on
Mhm.
one side, and of course sad on another side that
Yeah.
we're not coming back
Yeah.
forever. But they also realize that's reality of the newer generation who goes
Mhm.
abroad for studying and they like it there and etc. like that. But since we are visiting quite often, that wasn't a problem. So they were always asking us about how is it to live in a small town,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the culture like, and etc. So whenever we will go there, and they want to speak with us in English rather than the local
Yeah.
language, or even our kids, or even the neighborhood kids, they will play with our kids and they want to speak in English
Yeah.
more so than that. Uh, so I think it was still a bond that we had in India that still remains the same yet today.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, because I noticed, like, for example, with the younger generation, a lot of the kids, still are not in touch with their culture. They know they're Indian, but they don't care about, celebrating Diwali. They don't
Right,
care about,
right.
that we are, ethnically Indian. And it's good on one idea to be, American and fully,
Mhm.
yeah, but then again, everyone comes from a place, and so
Correct,
it's helpful to stay tied back to those roots.
correct.
Now, another part I wanted to talk about was you spent a lot of time working abroad in China and in
Mhm.
Eastern Asia. Can you give us a little bit of background on how you got involved in that?
Yeah. Uh, when I was in Copeland,
Mhm.
in the mid 80s, they started kind of thinking about having manufacturing in Asia rather
Mhm.
than every time just making product here and then exporting to Asia.
Mhm.
So the first uh, opportunity that we got was making a joint venture in India actually with an Indian manufacturer of compressors for air conditioning. And since I was from India, they asked me if I could help out on that joint venture deal.
Mhm.
And I spend a lot of hours and time in doing the knowledge transfer, the manufacturing transfer, training those people coming in from India and etc. like that. And it was a very successful project. So once that was a successful project, they realized that hey, maybe I can help on manufacturing facilities in other countries in Asia. So they asked me if I could work full time on our Asia operation, Asia strategy for the future. And I jumped on it right away. And after India, the first job was to kind of set up a manufacturing facility in Asia somewhere. So a team of us kind of got together and visited 7, 8 different countries.
Wow. Yeah.
And our first factory we decided to build was actually in Thailand. Spent a lot of hours and months going over there, and we set up the factory there. It started in almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We built that, and once that was done, then they say now we are working on a factory to be built in China.
Yeah.
So I worked on that. Since I was kind of traveling and helping out, starting up new factories, setting up manufacturing facilities, China was much in my line of work that I did. But working there, setting up factory in India, you have to work with the culture and people over there.
Yeah.
Setting up in Thailand was a completely different
I bet.
culture, and
Yeah.
setting up in China was altogether different. There are some similarities, but you really have to understand how the culture works there.
Yeah. So now, like, setting up these factories in different parts of Asia, how is it like, how did it change your perspective about seeing, because I think you first, you would see Asia or like India specifically as like your home, you know what I mean? But now coming back to Asia, coming back to like China and Thailand, how did you think about Asia and being labeled as like Asian as well with the United States?
It's kind of difficult to describe, but when you are in India, the challenges were a little bit different because we were setting up factory in a remote town.
Yeah.
They would ask for some technical question. They always wanted to learn how the American companies work and why are American companies so productive? How can we be more productive, for example? In Thailand, the challenges and things were a little bit different. Of course, the language barrier is always there with the shop floor worker, etc., like that. Thailand people were very good to work with, very dedicated, but the way to explain to them and train them was a little bit different. China was a completely different story, and I was amazed at how China was growing. When I started working in China first, when I went over there, compared to what it is now, it's totally different.
Vastly, yeah.
Vastly different. When I used to go over there, but very dedicated people, and they will put in 200% of their time in setting up and learning about the factories, and how the Chinese government also helped in terms of the industrial growth compared to Thailand, compared to India. There's a vast difference between all three countries. So it really helped me because even though I'm an American living here, but we are growing an American company globally. And growing an American company globally, if it's in Asia, if I can help, it was really so fulfilling that we are taking an American company to compete globally.
Yeah.
Now, 30% of our manufacturing is over there.
Wow.
If we had no factories over there, somebody else would have taken that business away. So it really helps to have that just Asian background to understand the culture in different
Do you think the
places.
fact that you immigrated already took a big jump, culturally from the India to the United States, did it help you kind of adapt to, learning about how people in China work or how people in Thailand work
Yes,
and their
yes,
cultures?
absolutely. It does. A typical, there were a few Americans who had gone to Asia for the first time along with us, as a team. And they were so surprised at different cultures.
Yeah.
They were not exposed to that. Of course, they had learned about it from just general knowledge and all that. But being there and working together, in those countries and helping them, in fact, they learned a lot. Of course, my background being from Asia and India helped a lot in terms of doing that. Uh, so that's I kind of worked in Asia for like 26 years. Compared to typical Americans, they would work for 2-3 years, but then of course, they would go on to different jobs.
Wow. Why do you think you kept on, going back to, staying in that one role? Why did you love doing that role in the first place?
In terms of,
Like just, setting up that, the strategy in terms of Asian manufacturing.
well, I enjoyed manufacturing and I
Mhm.
enjoy starting up, new factories. Also worked on starting up couple factories in US also.
Okay, yeah.
So it was kind of experience like that. But when I realized that our company's future goal is we need to have manufacturing in Asia to compete globally, not just having a US base, because they saw that in future just being a US base will not be
For sure.
enough. So then I knew that I could help,
Mhm.
and the satisfaction you get out of helping them is just tremendous.
Yeah. Wow. So of course, I mean, as you described, I think you did a pretty good job.
Oh yeah,
Like
I-
30% of the manufacturing is now in Asia, and Copeland is
Yes.
still a big, very known company, very reputed
Correct.
company in this area. Um, so looking back, of course, you've had such a vast journey. So growing up in Bombay, Mumbai, India, big city, to Manhattan, Kansas, to Urbana, Champaign, to Lebanon. I mean, it's kind of cool looking back to Sydney, now Troy, Ohio.
Right.
Looking back, what do you think this journey has taught you about? There's like three things I wanted to hit upon were migration, identity, and like building a life. So you just talk about like all of those things.
Yeah.
Migration maybe to start.
Well, I think if you keep your mind open, you can travel anywhere in the world and blend in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you got to be open-minded. Uh, People around the world, everywhere, no matter which country you go to, they are really nice people. They really want to help. They want to
Yeah.
learn. They also want
No
to
one is inherently
Right,
not wanting
inherently,
you to come.
like
Yeah.
that. So migration is, over the last 50 years has changed quite a bit,
Mm.
and it's for good overall. In terms of culture, you have to be open enough to adapt and work with people. All people want to help each other out. As long as you're willing and you're flexible, like they say, when you're in a country, you adapt their culture and blend in. You cannot just come back and say, I want to be only Indian, I want to be only Chinese and not American. You're in America, you adapt American culture. So every person who migrates to other countries, as long as they adapt to their local culture and local, with people, then it becomes a success, really. And that's what taught all of us. Is yes, you can live in any country, just be friends and be with people.
It's not the fact that you are in another country. It's about the fact that you should be open-minded
Correct.
about everything, about
Correct.
where you are, who you
Correct.
want to be.
Correct.
I
And
gotcha.
respect their culture, respect their views. Like
And then because of that, do you think they'll build respect back to your culture?
that is correct.
Wow. Yeah. So to talk in a more like macros, Indian Americans are now the second, third, depending on what you look at, biggest Asian immigrant group in the United States, and they've reached the highest of highs. They're CEOs of Microsoft is in Indian. The CEO of Google is Indian.
Sure.
Adobe is Indian, and they are now the highest income immigrant group in the whole country. What do you think that speaks to not only just immigrants, the immigrant mentality, but also to the Indian American mentality and the Indian mentality as well? Seeing that change, you firsthand saw the Indian American community get built over across from the late 70s to what it is now in 2025. How do you see that change, and what do you attribute that changes to?
I think uh, most people who came from India to here really worked hard in terms of both. If you're going to succeed in the industry base, for example, like the companies that you talked about, you got to be educated, get the higher education, put in your 200%, and work like you are part of the society. Not just saying, I'm from India, so I'm not going to do this and kind of stuff like that. Hard work always pays off, no matter where you are at. And uh, in India, of course, when we grew up, it was more education. That was the priority. Spend time on education, and that helped. I think that's what you see why Indians have been successful here in the industrial or technology field is because they spend their time in learning about it. They spend time on how to compete, how to make product, and also be part of the society here. And I think that's why the success has been there. Of course, you can also see other success of Indians in other fields too. I mean, there have been businesses, running hotels or running gas stations or restaurants. They are working hard enough too, trying to blend in to help out. I think as long as you work hard, and I think overall Indians have been, those who came 40, 50 years ago, they did that.
Yeah, because immigration, of course, in now media gets touted as like it's always caught in this hot perspective of like it gets associated with whether it be political leaning or whether it be economically, socially, are immigrants good for our country? What is like as an immigrant yourself? How have you seen, like, what has immigration been personally to you? Like, was it a step into like this new world, or like how did you feel immigration was to you, like that process in a whole nutshell,
Yeah.
essentially?
When you are 23-year-old, when you travel from India to US, you don't know about any of that stuff. You don't think you're too young to really digest that. All you're trying to do is get higher education in a different country.
Just
Because
try to learn
that's
more.
your that's the goal at that time. Once that goal is achieved, you say, well, I want to be able to do something different. Be able to be best at manufacturing, or be best at building a new factory, or figure out how to help a company out. I think immigrating in US helped me learn that a little bit more compared to if I had just stayed in India during those days. Okay, of course nowadays you are connected globally very easily via your mobile phones and all that stuff. During that time it was tough. And so the early years that I spent over here, it helped me learn that. Otherwise it wouldn't have been possible to do that. So it has been really a life-changing for both of us and for our family.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So just one final thing, just like my final type of question is like, what sort of advice do you have to the younger, Indian American generation, or Indians living in India who want to immigrate to the US and live that life, growing up in these small towns, becoming, raising kids in this American, childhood, and living like their best life? What advice do you have, and what tips do you have, or like just in general, like what is like your advice, I guess? What's the best way to say it?
For young generation of Indians living in US already, I think dedicate yourself to what you like to do. Whether it's engineering, whether it's medical field, or whether it's arts or science or whatever, just focus on that. And you have a lot more opportunities in US.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get sidetracked by it. Can I have this? Can I get this job and all that? Just do your best. What you're good at doing it. Fit in culturally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you enjoy your Indian culture, also to know that's fine. But also fit in locally
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
same time. For the young generation who is in India, who wants to go abroad somewhere, uh, be open-minded, uh, and try to fit into other countries,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and learn their local culture, understand their local culture, and make friendship over there. Don't try to just stay back to the Indian culture only if you're trying to go outside India. And of course, nowadays the young generation in India, they have a lot more opportunities within India too.
Mm-hmm.
India has come a long ways compared to, you know,
Yeah.
when we were.
Mm-hmm. And now you even see
You
sometimes
have
people moving
industries
back.
and you
Yeah.
have, you know, back office supports, technological companies who are global companies and all that. So you have opportunities within India too. Just not just on technology side, but so many other sides like that.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you focus on what you want to do, get more education. You know, without education nowadays, without higher education, it's going to be a tough battle for no matter which country you go to.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So yeah, that was pretty much all I had. Thank you so much. It was
Oh,
amazing to learn about, your life, where you came from, all these places you've been, all you've done, and not only that, but like what you mean to, Indian Americans in the area, and you are a true example of, what it means to achieve success, especially, being an immigrant, being and beyond that, you kind of took your life beyond that, and now you're just an American now, you live in a small town, you are, you have that same Midwestern hospitality, yet you still somehow kept in touch with your culture. You did all these things, and so you truly inspire everyone around here. And I will tell you, as an Indian American growing up in this community, we always looked up to Dilip Uncle, and so
Thank you very much. We really enjoyed
of
discussing this with you.
yeah, thank you so
You
much.
really have great ideas. I'm glad you're learning all these things. And
Yeah.
actually, college is spending time for students like
Yeah.
you to learn
Yeah.
different aspects of
Yeah,
it,
not
and it
only-
really makes a big difference. In
Yeah,
the
like
future.
I am a bachelor's of science in statistics and machine learning, but I think it's
Yeah.
important to learn about not only that, but
Yes.
especially like Asian American history, where we come from, what has happened in the past, for us, and
Sure.
how we can continue inspiring
Yeah.
for not only Asian Americans but Americans ourselves.
Great.
Thank you so
Sadeep,
much.
It's been fun.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck with everything
Thank
that
you
you
so
do.
much,
Okay?
of course.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
That was my interview with Mr. Dilip Sathe. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much.
Bye
Thank
now.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.